Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to do the books, the library books that I've read while I was on break. Some of them I can't show you because they they've already been brought back to the library before Corona hit. But they're on my screen. I don't know how to put pictures up here. So, and bringing them up on my phone is a little bit time consuming. So, one of the ones I read, I have it on my screen here, is Aurora Rising. And it's the first book in the Aurora cycle by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I gave that a 5. Yeah, I gave it a 5. I loved it. It's about a girl who's going to another planet to visit with her dad, I think. And so she's like cryogenically frozen for the trip. And then something happens on the way, and she wakes up to find the whole entire crew dead. And then there's this other boy who just finished his schooling and is ready to pick his team for his missions in space, and he gets this signal that he needs to go and check, or he doesn't need to go, but he figures he can go and check it out real quick before he gets to pick his team, and that doesn't happen. He finds her, and so by the time they get back, all the teams have been picked, and he's left with the lackeys, I guess, the bottom of the barrel. And it goes from there. It's cute. I was like turning the pages constantly with it. And then I read Rainbow Rowell's Carry On, and that's the first in the Simon Snow series. I'm one of those ones that hated those parts in Fangirl. Excuse me, but I really enjoyed the book. I love the story. Oh, excuse me. And it's about Simon and Baz and their kind of relationship at school. It's their last year of school, I think. And Baz is a vampire. Simon Snow is like the be-all, end-all of witches, wizards. I can see the Harry Potter-like parts, but it is different. So I think I give that a 5 as well. The next one, it was just a short story, and it was to meet a challenge of on the romance readers reading challenge, and it was to read T.J. Klune. So I read Sandy and Paul's Game Portal Adventure, and it's book 1 or book 0.5 in the At First Sight. It's about two boys discovering they are gay by watching this porno. It's a little graphic. I'll definitely say that it's graphic, but that's pretty much essentially what it is. And then I read Needled to Death, a Knitting Mystery #2 by Maggie Sefton. Honestly, don't recall much, and I gave that a 4. I can't remember the plot of the story, honestly. Sorry. But it is book 2. I know I liked it. I just, right now I can see the photo, but I can't think of what it was about, like the details. So, sorry. Then I read Waking Up Married by Miral Kelly. They're in Vegas. She's in a wedding party, meets this, and they make like a bet that she can't pick up this guy. So she goes to his table, they meet, and then they go around like for the evening. And the next morning they wind up married. Yeah, so she wants a divorce or an annulment. And he's like, no, we'll make things happen. And it goes from there. I gave it a 2. 2, really? I think it was because it was too wishy-washy. Like she was back and forth. Yeah, no, I don't remember hating it as much as the last two that I just finished reading. But it is what it is. So then I read Captivated by You by Sylvia Day, and it's book 4. And this was just, I gave it a 3. I don't think much happened in it, to be honest. It was just like a filler book. And of course, sexy times and the bickering back and forth and her friends. And I think it's, I can't really say, actually, because it is book 4. But it's essentially a toxic relationship. You can equate it with 50 Shades of Grey. It's that type of a book, just without the BDSM, to an extent. Yeah, nothing really happened. It was just pretty much dealing with friends, dealing with coworkers, the same old arguments from the last 3 books. There's a cat getting into something. And then I read It Had to Be You by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. It's book 1 in the Chicago Stars. It's about a girl whose father passes away and makes this thing in his will between her and her cousin. She knows nothing about football, and he leaves her a football team, and she must get to the essentially semifinals. I forget what they're called, because my husband watches football, and it completely left my brain of what it's called. But she has to get to bring the team to the semifinals. They have not gotten there in quite a while. He thought it was going to be a done deal that the team would go to her cousin, which is male. And so it's the story of her dealing with the coach and the team, and her thinking that she could just get, do her thing, not do any work. The team would go to her cousin, and that'd be it. And then things start to happen, and she realizes that might not be a smart thing to do. And then I read Beautiful Darkness by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll, book 2 in the Castor Chronicles. Chicago Stars one, I gave that a 4. This one I gave a 3. Nothing, I don't know. It's the continuation of the story from the first, so I can't really talk about it, but I don't know if I'll still continue with the series, because it's one of those things that I have to continue on to see what happens. But a lot of magic, or magical realism, I'd say. And I can't even remember Beautiful Creatures that much. So, yeah. Ethan, Southern Town, yeah. Lena, yeah, that was the girl's name, Lena. It was just nothing to write home about. It is what it is. I think a lot of you know what it is, what it's about. Then I read my son's book, The Adventures of Captain Underpants, number 1. It's a graphic novel by Dave Pilkey. I gave it a 4. I actually laughed. I was not expecting to like it. It's about a cartoon character. Like, 2 boys write this story, and the principal doesn't like it too much, so he takes it away from them, and they kind of hypnotize him, and he pretends he's Captain Underpants. It's funny. Then I read Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. And did I give this a 4 or 3? Yeah, a 3. This one I didn't like as much. It's a year after, or the year after they graduate, finish school, whatever. And I really don't want to say too much, because if I say what things happen, it'll spoil Carry On. But yeah, I didn't like it as much. So actually, we can just sorry for the rattle, but I might as well just say all the books that I've read. Well, not all of them, but I read Walk Into the Wind by Jane Arbor. Ooh, this one was bad. I gave it a 1. She is at a hotel, and she just pretty much loses her job. The people that she's like a nanny. The people that she was working for have taken off while she was out for breakfast or something. Like, they just leave and leave her a note saying, yeah, something came up, we had to leave. And she's like, but I'm your nanny. And this other man who was standing in the hotel hallway realizes what's going on and begrudgingly gives her a job as his new nanny for the ward. His best friend has passed away, and he's to watch his daughter so that he could take her to one of the aunts when they're able to take her. But first they have to go to where he's working, which is Tunisia, I think. And the whole entire time they're together, he's pretty much, and this takes place in the 50s, 60s, when was it written? 1970. The whole entire time they're together, he's telling her what to do. He's talking down to her. He's pretty much, listen to me, shut up, sit in the corner, watch my ward, you know. And all of a sudden they're in love. Like, you've only seen them together for 2 or 3 times. She's just being nice to his coworkers, and he accuses her of essentially being a slut. No. I gave that a 1. And as much as I like to keep the old ones, no, it's going. So, I read, it's way up there, A Man to Call My Own by Joanna Lindsay. I gave it a 5. It's Joanna Lindsay. She's my favorite author, so it's a cowboy story, though. Pretty sure. I can't think of it right now. I don't know why. I've read so many, though, that they're kind of not running together, but yeah. Let's see if I can find this one. Did I already get rid of it? Nope, right here. Taming Her Billionaire Boss. It's the Jareds, book 4 by Maxine Sullivan. This is Blake's story. His secretary assistant is in love with him. They have like a little one-night stand sort of deal, and she realizes that he's not going to come around from his ways. He doesn't want anything to do with kids, the whole deal. So she's like, you know what, I quit. He's like, no, because really he does love her. Well, this one I gave a 4-star. Yeah, it was a good story. I'm still not keeping it though. And then I read Buried in a Book by Lucy Arlington. This is a story of a woman who loses her job and gets hired on as she wants to be an editor of books. So she gets a job at this publishing company, but in order for her to become an editor, she has to do the 3-month probation as like the front desk receptionist. And her very first day on the job, this homeless, smelly man comes in, and she offers to go and get him something to eat or drink. And everybody in the office knows who he is. They hate him. They can't stand him. So she has to deal with him. When she comes back, she finds him dead on the couch in the front office. Goes from there. It was cute. I gave it a 4. So, and this was for the Triple RC that I know of, with a mode of transportation on the cover, little moped. And yes, it does, it has to do with the story. But it is book 1 in the novel idea Cozy Mystery series. Excuse me. Then I read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I gave this a 4-star. This was about a family of 4 children, and a mother and a daughter move to their town. And they're kind of, my mom actually had a friend like her, that they would just leave everything and move to the next house, and kind of whatever could fit in the car is what they took with them. Although my mom's friend didn't have a car, she had a wheelbarrow, and that's how she moved. And I'm not kidding. This was in Ottawa. Sorry, side note. So, the daughter of the woman who moves into this family's rental unit becomes friends with two of their kids. But the mother of the 4 kids is a little pretentious. Like, she thinks that helping other people who are lower than her is her charity work. She's a journalist. I didn't like her too much. She stuck her nose in where it didn't belong. Like, wow. But the story was good. It was, I know I'm not doing these books justice, but trying to remember what I can of them. It was a little slow to get into, but it was a good book. The ending kind of threw me. Sort of. So yeah, 4 stars. Then I read Seventh Grave and No Body by Dorinda Jones, book 7 in the Charlie Davidson series. I can't say much about it, but she's a Grim Reaper. I love this series. Charlie's just, her wit and her sarcasm is hilarious. And then, what is his name? Everybody's got the hots for her fiance because he's a demon. Oh, I can't. It was just on the tip of my tongue too. Reyes. I knew it was an R. So yeah, it loved it. This one was just as funny. And then I read Dead Girls. I gave this a 4. Or no, it's 4. No. I gave it a 2. Dorinda Jones, I gave a 5. This I gave a 2. It's a series of short stories that kind of have to deal with a case that happened in Vancouver, the Robert Pickton murders. He would kill a bunch of prostitutes and feed them to his pigs. It was huge. This one kind of centers around that, but it doesn't really talk about it. I didn't like it at all. Hardly at all. The stories were just, and your point? Like, yeah. Not much I can say about it. The next one I read. Dance with the Doctor by Cindy Myers. I gave this a 4. I can't think of why. Oh, that's right too. She's a belly dancer instructor, and he's a doctor, and his daughter has had a heart transplant, and he doesn't think she's ready to do all this exercising and stuff, and yet the exercising would help her heart kind of keep going. And yeah, it was a really good book. There was one instance where, you can kind of see her insecurities. The girl, what is her name? Darcy, come out, but he kind of tends to be an overprotective dad, so you can kind of see why she has those insecurities. Sorry. because she doesn't think she's taking care of her as well as he would expect her to, which it's just one of the things that happens in here. But yeah, it was a good book. And I gave that one a 4. Then I read Still Life by Louise Penny, and this is book 1, cat fur, in the Armand Gamache series. It takes place in Three Pines, Quebec, which is a fictional place. And there's a couple of characters in here that you really just don't like. Penny was one of them. Was her name Penny? She is a newly, I don't know, promoted inspector, detective sort of deal, and she thinks that her ideas are, that's it, and move on. And Armand is kind of like, no, but wait, we need to sound this out logically. But it's a story of a woman who, on the day she decides to show her art, is murdered. And she's not quite a hermit. She's got friends and stuff, but she's kept her art. Nobody can see it. And so she's kind of has family, but they're very distant. And they have to try and figure out how she died, why she died, that sort of deal. So I gave this a 4. I think those are all the library books. Oh, I read The Black Echo by Michael Connolly. It's book 1 in the Harry Bosch series, and also book 1 in the Harry Bosch universe. I gave it a 4. That one is about a man who's found in a tunnel in like LA, like the underground tunnels. Not underground tunnels. Oh, they open up into these. We have them here, and I can't remember what they're called. And everybody assumes, because he's got a needle beside him and he's a drug addict, that he overdosed and died. Case closed. Harry realizes he knows him, and this man wouldn't have done that. They served in Vietnam together. The Black Echo is a term that they used in Vietnam, and it's explained why. But everybody's like, why are you, continuing on to figure this out? It's a done deal. And he's like, no, it's not. So he kind of and he's already been demoted once. He was on homicide, robbery, and he's been demoted, but he's still working homicide, so whatever. Yeah, so again, there's lots of characters you don't like, but he fights, and he's one of those keeps to himself, curmudgeonly detectives, likes to work alone. He has a partner, but his partner is a real estate agent by day and an detective by night, sort of deal. So yeah, I gave that one a 4. Sorry for reaching, but I read A Dark and Distant Shore by Rhea Tannehill. This is a family saga book. It takes place over 100 years. And it's about a woman whose father has decided to sell their castle. It's too much to upkeep. Her mother has passed away. And on the day that the new owners kind of take over, she tries to push him over the edge of the parapet. And so then she moves to London, and then a couple of years later, her father dies, and the new owner's son and wife take her as like a foster child, and to help her have a season. And it kind of goes from there, but you kind of like her at the beginning, and you kind of don't like her by the end. It was a really good book, though. I gave it 4 stars. I love family sagas. And yeah, so it takes place in the 1800s. How does it start? 1803 to 1914. And it has a family tree, and you constantly have to reference it because there's a lot of in-family marriages. It's kind of, but yeah, so I enjoyed it. 4 stars. And I read Destiny Bay by Sarah Abbott. This is a woman who, why is she? Oh, her mother dies. And she finds stuff in the attic, and she wants to know what happened to her mother because they all think she committed suicide. So she goes to this little town or island, St. Cecilia Island, to find out what's going on, and everybody's telling her, go back home. Mind your own business, go back home. And yeah, so things start to happen. I ended up giving this a 3 because it was really slow. Things happen, but things don't happen. I think that's what it was. Yeah, there's like peeping toms. People are trying to kill her. Yeah. And you kind of guess what happened. Like, I kind of guessed the idea of what happened to her, but not who did it. So, what was the next one I read? His Ring, Her Baby. These are just a bag of books that I give away when I'm done reading them. And that one's not in here. I think. Where it is. His Ring, Her Baby. This was another 3-star. She was supposed to be his housekeeper. Oh, I can't even remember it. But I'll read the back. The job title was housekeeper, not fiance, but billionaire cattleman Kirk Deverell couldn't throw the lovely single mom off his ranch, especially when he knew the job would help her keep her son. Of course, the eligible bachelor hadn't expected her to tell everyone she was Kirk's bride-to-be. I don't remember that. Well, I remember some of it. He gets really mad when she says that. Of course, you know, kind of wonder why. Yeah, it was just one of those okay stories. It's part of the Billionaires and Babies series, but you don't have to, they're nothing to do with each other. It's just a bunch of billionaires and babies. Some of these were from previous, so that's why they're all together. Sorry for the bag. Surgeon Boss surprised Dad by Janice Lynn. Dedicated surgeon and confirmed bachelor Adam Klein didn't think he'd ever settle down until beautiful nurse Liz stole his heart away. I think his fiance or his wife had died. Again, it's a 3-star. They're, you know, I could read these. If I actually put my mind to it, I could read one a day, no problem. But I know she's got a broken heart. Putting her broken heart aside, she decides to tell Adam she is expecting his baby. Now, no matter what the future holds, Liz must prove to Adam that their one chance at happiness is to come together as a family. I know there's something to do with her being pregnant, though. It's like I don't know if it's not a problem, but health-wise, I'm not sure. I think they both work in the pediatric ICU, and they see babies, like not troublesome babies, medically. Why can I not think today? Sick babies, essentially. Yeah, so it has to do with that. I know I'm not doing it. I think no, did I talk about that one? The Vegas two-step. Yeah, I think I did. By Liz Talley. So I think we're up to date now of what I've read. Wow, 30 minutes. So those are all the books. That's the library books, the ebooks, and my own books that I've read while I've been on break. So I no longer have to do any of these videos, and I can bring my library books back. And we are now up to date, back on track for videos. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So if you've watched this long, thank you for sticking around. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. I know I didn't do some of them justice, but it is what it is. Like, I mean, that was quite a few books from February to now to try and remember about. I can remember little snippets here and there, but sometimes those snippets have to do with plot twists, so I can't say anything. Yeah. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.